Our lost history shapes our present. The Moors in North America were disconnected from their roots, law, and government. Rediscovering this past is vital for reclaiming our rights and sovereignty. The greatest secret is you. Knowing your true identity is the first step toward true liberty. Understanding your connection to the true lawful government is crucial. The government you see today often hides your rights and true status. The Inquisition was launched to disrupt the Moorish Empire, whose legacy is hidden from many North Americans today. This history, guarded by secret societies, reveals the true identity and rights that have been kept from you. The Moors faced brutal persecution, forced to abandon their language, culture, and faith. These policies of control evolved into colonialism and the Black Codes, severing heritage and identity. Today, reclaiming your rights means understanding this history and applying the protocols of liberty to restore your sovereignty. The Inquisition wasn't just religious zeal. It was designed to disrupt the global power of the Moors, whose legacy is now hidden behind modern labels. Secret societies like Masonry, Skull and Bones, and the Knights Templar guard this knowledge, keeping your true identity hidden. The greatest secret is you. Reclaim your story to reclaim your rights. The Moors, stewards of Spain since the 8th century, ushered in a golden age of learning and tolerance. Yet centuries of internal strife and rising Christian orthodoxy led to their decline, culminating in the surrender of Granada in 1492. The Moors surrendered only after receiving solemn guarantees of civil and religious liberty, a promise swiftly and cynically broken. Cardinal Ximenes led the charge to violate these pledges, unleashing cruelty and terror upon the Moorish people. In 1502, a royal edict demanded all unbaptized Moors leave Castile and Leon or face brutal consequences. Torture, forced conversions, and systematic terror followed, erasing centuries of culture and trust. This betrayal remains a dark stain on the legacy of Spain's rulers, a lesson written in blood and fire. By 1526, Spain claimed there were no practicing Moors, only new Christians or Moriscos, most baptized by force. The Inquisition became their constant tormentor, doubting the sincerity of their conversions and policing every aspect of their lives. Secretly, many Moriscos clung to their traditions, but the church saw this as treason, not faith. King Philip II's 1566 decree demanded Moriscos abandon their language, books, and customs, erasing their identity. Even private speech and family traditions were outlawed, severing generational ties. The law reached into every home, ensuring the chain of culture was broken. This was not just religious tyranny, it was the systematic erasure of a people. The assault on Morisco identity targeted even daily life. Clothing, language, and hygiene. Traditional dress and veils were banned. Public and private bathhouses, central to Moorish culture, were destroyed. This was cultural annihilation, reducing a proud people to statelessness and sowing the seeds of the ghetto. The breakdown of society, engineered over centuries, became the blueprint for colonial oppression in the Americas. The Inquisition strategies, divide, conquer, suppress, echoed in the Black Codes and slave laws of the New World. From Spain to Louisiana, the same tactics of control and forced conversion persisted. Understanding this history is the first step toward reclaiming your birthright. The symbols of secret societies, Masonry, Skull and Bones, Jesuits, Knights Templar, hold the hidden history of the Moors. These groups, despite their differences, share a legacy of power built on the erasure of your identity. Their greatest secret isn't treasure, it's you, your heritage, your birthright. The fez, worn in secret rituals, is a silent admission of where true sovereignty began. Through symbols and secrecy, these organizations have shaped history while keeping vital knowledge from the masses. The Inquisition was the first act in a global project to erase Moorish power, a template for centuries of oppression. To reclaim what's yours, you must first recognize the language of power and the history it conceals. The Spanish Inquisition's blueprint for control, cultural erasure, forced conversion, and division became the model for colonial oppression. William Lynch's infamous speech in the Christian Black Codes of 1724 echoed these tactics in the Americas. The Louisiana Code Noir, rooted in Catholic doctrine, mandated forced conversion and total control over enslaved lives. Religion was weaponized to justify bondage, regulate marriage, and dictate every aspect of existence. The code forbade native customs and non-Catholic faiths, continuing the war against Moorish identity. These laws imported the Inquisition's methods to the New World, ensuring the same war was fought on new soil. The struggle for identity and freedom is a direct legacy of this unbroken chain of oppression. The Inquisition and Code Noir began colonialism in the Americas, creating systems of suppression that still persist today. These policies engineered the breakdown of our communities, stripping away identity and heritage and maintaining a cycle of powerlessness. This is not accidental, it's by design. Prejudice and racism aren't just feelings, they're systems embedded in law and politics designed to maintain power and control. Double standards in justice persist, with race as a legal fiction used to justify inequality. To reclaim your rights, recognize these mechanisms and understand the true roots of oppression. Liberty means freedom from arbitrary restraint, acting by your own will within just law. But beware, words like exemption can be traps. Claiming exemption often means accepting a privilege granted by authority, not true freedom. Use legal terms with precision or risk handing over your liberty without realizing it. When you claim tax exemption, the government assumes it's their privilege to grant and regulate it. Jurisdiction is everything in law. By using their terms, you risk giving up your sovereignty and agreeing to their rules, often without realizing it. The term "not obligated" is a powerful declaration of status. It asserts you stand outside the jurisdiction making demands, not seeking permission or exemption. This shifts the burden of proof, forcing the other party to show you are subject to their rules. Always use "not obligated." It's a stronger position than asking for exemption. Most interactions with the de facto government happen in commerce. The Constitution is a contract regulating this realm. Understanding contracts is vital. Driver's licenses, for example, are contracts and taxes. To protect our rights, we must use the Constitution as our shield and our words as our sword. Reserving your rights under UCC 1308 is just the first step. It's not enough to write without prejudice. You must know what rights you're reserving and where they come from. Your rights are inherent, secured by the Constitution, not granted by codes. True power comes from understanding and confidently asserting them. Counterclaims in federal venues are key to enforcing your constitutional rights. Instead of just defending, you challenge authority and bring your own claim. Federal courts are the proper form. Don't waste time in local tribunals. Learn to move your case, file a counterclaim, and stand on your rights. That's the protocol of liberty. The absolute key to all protocols of liberty is status. Your status determines everything. It dictates what rights you can claim, what laws apply to you, and what jurisdiction you fall under. The entire system of control is designed to trick you into accepting a lower status. When you identify as black, colored, or even a U.S. citizen in their system, you are accepting a status that makes you a subject, a legal fiction, a surety for the corporate debt. You are agreeing to be governed by the de facto entity and all its codes, statutes, and regulations. This is the foundational contract that holds the entire matrix together. As a Moor, your true status is that of a sovereign, a national of the original and indigenous government of the land. You are an heir to the Moorish Empire. This status predates the United States of America and is superior to it. Your rights are inherent and come from your creator and your bloodline, not from a piece of paper granted by a government. The Constitution does not grant you rights. It is a document that is supposed to secure the rights you already possess from government infringement. When you operate from this sovereign status, the entire legal landscape changes. You are no longer a subject asking for privileges. You are a sovereign exercising your rights. This is why we must be so precise with our language. When we talk about having diplomatic immunity, we must be clear that this immunity comes from our status as nationals of the Moorish government, not from a privilege granted by the U.S. State Department. When we say we are not obligated to a tax, it is because our sovereign status places us outside the jurisdiction of the entity imposing the tax. Every claim, every right, every protocol flows from this central point. Who are you? If you cannot answer this question with unshakable certainty, all your other arguments will crumble under pressure. The so-called patriots also make claims based on status, but their status as citizens keeps them bound within the system they are fighting. They may win small battles, but they often lose the war because they have not corrected their status to that of a true American national, which is distinct from a U.S. citizen. As Moors, we have the key. Our history, our nationality, and our divine creed law are the foundations of our sovereign status. Reclaiming this status is the most important act of all. It is the beginning of reclaiming your lost estate, your birthright, and your freedom. The protocols of liberty are the protocols of a sovereign. The driver's license is more than a permit. It's a contract that turns your right to travel into a privilege, tracking and controlling the populace. Understanding this helps you reclaim your liberty by asserting your status and rights, not just in driving, but in all areas of life. From forgotten history to future sovereignty, our journey reveals how the Moors' legacy was erased, replaced by labels like Negro and Black, severing us from our heritage. By reclaiming our true story, we break psychological chains and move from victims to heirs of a sovereign legacy. This reawakening unites us, restoring our nation's rightful place in the world. Throughout our discussion, we've emphasized the critical importance of language and status. These are the primary tools in the battle for your rights. Language is your sword and status is your shield. We've learned that words like exemption, liberty, and right have precise legal meanings that can be used to either trap you or free you. Claiming to be tax exempt makes you a petitioner asking for a privilege, whereas declaring you are not obligated asserts a sovereign position beyond their jurisdiction. This subtle but profound difference is honestly the key to shifting the entire dynamic of any encounter with the de facto government and its agents. Your status as a Moor is the unbreakable shield that protects you. When you correct your status from the legal fiction of a U.S. citizen or a black person to that of a Moorish American national, you step outside of their jurisdiction. This status is the foundation of every legal and political claim you make. It is the source of your authority. Without this shield of status, your linguistic sword is useless. Your words will have no power because they will be spoken by a subject, not a sovereign. The entire apparatus of control, from the driver's license to the court summons, is designed to compel you to accept a lower status, thereby granting them authority over you. Therefore, the protocol requires constant vigilance over your words and a steadfast adherence to your true status. Every form you sign, every question you answer, every interaction you have with an official is a test. Are you a subject or are you a sovereign? Your answer is not just in what you say, but in the legal precision of how you say it. This is why the study of law, etymology, and history is not an academic pursuit for us. It's a vital necessity for survival and liberation. We must become master swordsmen with our language, capable of carrying their deceptive phrases and striking with the truth of our position. This mastery is not achieved overnight. It requires diligent study and practice. It requires us to challenge everything we've been taught and to rebuild our understanding of the world from the ground up with our sovereign Moorish identity at the center. It means teaching our children their true history and the power of their status from a young age, so they grow up wearing their shield of sovereignty as a second skin. When an entire nation is armed with the sword of precise language and protected by the shield of sovereign status, it becomes an indomitable force, impervious to the tricks and traps of the old colonial system. The true test of understanding is application. The protocols of liberty are not meant to remain as abstract theories. They must be lived and practiced in our daily lives. This is how we move from being passive recipients of information to active agents of our own liberation. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to exercise our sovereignty. When you receive a piece of mail that addresses you as a legal fiction in all capital letters, you have an opportunity to correct the record. When you are pulled over and asked for a driver's license, you have an opportunity to assert your right to travel and challenge jurisdiction. This practical application requires courage and preparation. It means having your documents in order, your Moorish national identification, your declarations of status, your copies of the Constitution, and relevant treaties. It means knowing how to respond to officials calmly, respectfully, but with unwavering firmness in your position. It's not about being confrontational for the sake of it. It's about being so grounded in your knowledge and status that you cannot be moved. You're not arguing, you're stating facts. You're not being difficult. You're upholding the law, the supreme law of the land. Living the protocols also means building sovereign structures within our own communities. We must create our own systems for education, commerce, and dispute resolution that operate outside the de facto government's control by engaging in honorable commerce with one another, establishing our own trust, and educating our own children in their true history and science. We reduce our dependence on the very system that seeks to enslave us. This is the ultimate expression of sovereignty, the ability to govern ourselves and provide for our own needs, rendering the occupying power irrelevant to our daily lives. This process is a gradual one, a step-by-step reclamation of our power. It starts with the individual correcting their status and learning the law. It expands to the family, then to the community, and ultimately to the nation. Each contract you refuse to sign without reserving your rights, each commercial interaction where you assert your sovereign status is a victory. It's a brick laid in the foundation of our new reality. Living the protocols is the work of transforming our world from the inside out, demonstrating our sovereignty through our actions and building a future where our children will be born free, in fact, not just in theory. We stand at a pivotal moment in history. The information that was once hidden in secret societies and buried in dusty archives is now coming to light. The great reawakening is upon us. The question is no longer whether the truth is available, but whether we will have the courage to embrace it and act upon it. This entire discourse has been a call to action, a call to reclaim your history, to correct your status, to master the law, and to live as the sovereigns you were born to be. The protocols of liberty are the links in an unbroken chain that stretches back to our ancestors and forward to our future generations. Your task now is to become a strong link in that chain. This means committing to a path of continuous learning and self-improvement. Read the books, study the treaties, learn the law, and question everything. Do not take any single source as infallible, but use all available information to build a solid foundation of knowledge upon which you can confidently stand. Share this knowledge with your family and your community. The fire of liberty is kindled with the spark of knowledge and fanned into a flame through collective action and unity. Do not be discouraged by the magnitude of the task. The empire we are reclaiming was not lost in a day, and it will not be fully restored in a day. But every step taken on the path of sovereignty is a step that weakens the foundations of the de facto system. Every Moor who awakens and corrects their status is a pillar removed from the house of bondage. Remember the resilience of our ancestors, the Moriscos, who kept their traditions alive in secret, under the threat of the Inquisition. We have inherited that same strength and spirit of survival. Therefore, let this conclusion be your beginning. Let it be the moment you decide to fully embrace your identity as a Moor and all the rights and responsibilities that come with it. The protocols of liberty are not just a set of rules, they are a way of life. They are the path back to honor, to dignity, and to self-determination. Pick up the sword of language, put on the shield of status, and join the ranks of the awakened. The future of our nation depends on it. The unbroken chain of liberty is now in your hands. Hold it fast.